For most people, a work break is nothing more than a quiet moment to decompress. But for a young woman named Lisette, those few stolen minutes turned into the most unsettling experience of her day. She claims a series of strange incidents kept occurring inside the restaurant where she's employed, which eventually led her to pull up the security footage and see what was really going on. While she's sitting alone, calmly eating her lunch, something suddenly causes her hair to shift in a way that stops her cold. Her response is instant. Her hand shoots up to her head. Her eyes dart around the room searching for someone, only to find that there is nobody anywhere near her. Spooked, she abandons her food entirely and walks off without a second thought. But as it turns out, this was far from the last incident. Lisette would later come forward with one detail that completely reframed the entire situation for many who followed the story. She revealed that these strange occurrences had only started appearing a few weeks after the death of her father. She recalls that in the time leading up to his passing, the two of them had grown especially close, and her father had always wanted her near him. There's a belief held in many cultures that certain souls linger in this world for a brief period following their death. That's what led Lisette to conclude that the touch she felt on her hair wasn't something to fear, but rather one last tender gesture of love from her father. Surveillance footage from inside a retail store caught something that's difficult to explain away. Right at the start of the clip, a dark silhouette darts across one edge of the frame. Just seconds after that, a separate camera elsewhere in the same building picks up a different shadow abruptly materializing, partially obscuring the lens before slowly sliding off to the left, almost as though something passed directly in front of it. No additional context was ever provided about the footage, but whatever was captured is genuinely hard to shake. The way these shadows move feels far too deliberate to be some kind of camera malfunction, yet far too indistinct to be conclusively identified as a real person. To this day, the recording still leaves people wondering what exactly was lurking inside that place. An anonymous user uploaded this next clip, capturing the moment a man and his dog discover a concealed cave tucked away deep within the woods. He makes the decision to head inside, and as you can probably guess, what follows is absolutely terrifying.
About this misty. Keep looking.
He encounters bats and an enormous centipede making its way along the cave walls. But the further he pushes in, he comes up against something so disturbing that he has absolutely no option but to bolt straight out of there.
Stay behind me. What the f*** is that? Oh shit! Go. Come on, Missy. Come on, Missy.
His flashlight cuts through the darkness and lands on a shadowy, cloaked figure standing completely motionless, like a reaper lying in wait, just staring at him without so much as a flinch. He spins around and sprints out, desperate to get as far away as possible. Whatever that figure actually was, the lesson here couldn't be more obvious. Some caves buried deep in the forest are better left undisturbed. Another jolt followed when a plant pot suddenly toppled and struck one of his cats sitting underneath it. What do you think was truly going on inside that house? A man was mid-shower at his Airbnb rental when he suddenly heard the front door swing open. Alarmed, he jumped out, snatched up his phone, and started filming. He called out into the room, and to his disbelief, the door was wide open.
My Airbnb while I was in the shower. Hello? What the fuck?
The second he spoke up, it slowly drifted shut on its own. Then, it did it again. The door continued opening and closing without any explanation, making the whole thing feel increasingly disturbing. Despite being rattled, he cautiously made his way over to check, but when he peered outside, the area was completely deserted. Still suspecting someone might be messing with him, he went through the entire place and scoured the surroundings. Then another odd noise caught his attention. He scanned the area and even ventured outside to double check, but once again came up empty. At that point, he had experienced more than enough. Shaken to his core, he rushed back indoors. What do you think was actually going on in that Airbnb? A man who worked at a cemetery said he had encountered a number of unsettling incidents throughout his time there. On this particular occasion, he was sitting by himself in his office reviewing a list of tasks when he suddenly heard loud banging on the door. Curious, he got up and pulled it open, only to find the surrounding area completely empty. As he continued investigating, he was hit by an intense, foul odor.
It's just me, guys, in this Airbnb. So it's literally just me out here. I'm in Indio, and literally no one else is around. It's literally all empty. I usually don't post content like this.
That seemed to have no identifiable source. That rotten stench only made the already eerie atmosphere feel far worse. While he was still trying to make sense of it all, objects inside the garage started crashing down on their own. That was the moment the fear really set in. In a separate incident, the same man was alone in his office when things took another strange turn. Without any warning, a nearby door began swinging back and forth, opening and closing all by itself. Determined to get to the bottom of it, he walked over and pushed the door fully open. Then, just a short time later, it slowly eased shut with no one near it. The unnerving part was that the hallway beyond was completely vacant. He scanned the whole area and found absolutely no one.
What was that? Hello? Guys, are there? Hello?
What do you think was responsible for opening and closing that door? A man was spending the afternoon alone at home when something unsettling suddenly broke the silence. He had just finished working out when he heard what sounded like his name being called. Not once, but twice. The voice seemed to be coming from somewhere near the basement stairs or the kitchen. The troubling part was that nobody else was home, just him and his dog, with his wife not due back until late that evening.
I'm gonna get the fuck back inside. 'Cause I don't know what's going on, Ed. I don't know what's going on out here, guys. I'm definitely gonna check out my B&B if this keeps up, y'all. I'm dead ass gonna just hop in my car.
Confused and increasingly on edge, he began moving through the house, checking the living room and the dining area, trying to track down where the voice had come from. But no matter where he searched, he found absolutely nothing to explain it. He mentioned that the strange activity had been building in intensity lately, and with him due to open the cemetery early Monday morning, his nerves were already stretched thin. Then, as he continued speaking to the camera, something even more unsettling occurred. Faint voices drifted through the background, almost as though someone else was present in the room. For years, Akina has been capturing moments of her son Ponko's life on camera. building a digital record of memories she holds dear, but one particular recording left her with questions she still can't answer. In the early hours of January 29th, 2024, at approximately 2:30 in the morning, Akina was jolted awake by something unsettling in her own bedroom, and from that point on, the night took a deeply strange turn. The bedroom door drifted open and then swung shut without anyone touching it, but Akina insists the door itself wasn't even the most alarming part. What truly disturbed her was the dark silhouette she noticed hovering near the doorway. She describes the figure as looking unmistakably like her husband, standing there in complete silence, just watching. The problem? Her husband was still on the clock at work, with hours left in his shift before he was due home. At almost exactly the same moment, the household security system triggered as though an intruder had entered the property. Convinced her husband must have somehow clocked out early, Akina rushed out of the room to find him. What she found instead was a house swallowed in darkness, with the front door still firmly locked. No lights on, no husband, no trace of anyone having entered. When she made her way back to the bedroom, she was visibly shaken, struggling to make sense of what she'd just witnessed. And the question at the heart of it all still has no answer. If it wasn't her husband standing in that doorway, then who or what was it? On November 20th, 2025, a woman living in Indonesia recorded something absolutely chilling on her home security system footage that left her genuinely frightened for the safety of her kids. Her older son is lying on the bed, casually scrolling through his phone, while his younger sister sits on the floor in front of the TV when the camera picks up what happens next. Pay close attention.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Ayah, demi Allah, kayak ada yang nyeret Jena. Demi Allah, udah bekerja. Demi Allah. Demi Allah, kayak ada yang nyeret Jena. Bener-bener astagfirullahaladzim. Nggak ada yang jelas. Nenek di depan. Yang mau ke dalam nih. Demi Allah, kayak ada yang nyeret, sumpah demi Allah. Bukan dia pergi. Bang Afdi? Siapa lagi? Kita nggak?
The little girl is watching TV when, without any warning, her legs appear to get yanked backward, sending her sliding across the floor before she gets dragged underneath the bed. You can clearly see her fighting against whatever is pulling her, scrambling forward on her hands and knees. But the resistance is no match for the force, and she breaks down crying as she disappears beneath it. What makes this even more unsettling is that when the girl's grandmother rushes over, she's unable to pull her out, and she later described feeling like something was actively pushing back against her. Eventually, the mother had to physically lift the bed just to free her daughter, who was found pressed right up against the wall at the far end. The little girl now refuses to go anywhere near the beds in the house, and her mother remains deeply troubled by the whole experience. So, what exactly was responsible for dragging her under there? Drop your theories in the comments below. TikTok user Sabrina C. Coven says her apartment has been plagued by strange occurrences for some time. Doors swinging open and shut on their own. Drawers sliding out with nobody anywhere near them. The kind of creepy little incidents that are easy to brush off at first until they become impossible to ignore. Then one night, her home security camera picks up something far more alarming. At 5:41 in the morning, her cat is casually making its way through the living room when everything suddenly changes. Without any warning, the cat appears to be flung into the air, then pulled across the floor in the direction of the dining room by some invisible force. The cat erupts into violent hissing, reacting as though it's under attack from something that can't be seen, while the other animals in the apartment grow visibly agitated. Shortly after, a chair tucked beneath the dining table appears to move on its own. The commotion jolts Sabrina awake, and she rushes out to investigate. Fortunately, none of her pets are hurt, but when she pulls up the security footage, she's completely at a loss. Sabrina points out that there's no way her cat could have launched itself like that independently, because the animal is actually missing one of its legs. So, was this just a freakish incident caught on camera? Or did Sabrina's apartment just document genuine poltergeist activity directed at her pet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Videos you're about to see were posted to Reddit by the user shown on screen, a few days before uploading. This person shared some peculiar security camera footage recorded at their brother-in-law's home. As explained in the post, the gate visible in the footage is kept latched at all times because dogs live on the property. Unlatching it requires someone to physically unhook it by hand. One afternoon, a motion alert came through on his phone, prompting him to pull up the footage, and here's what the camera had recorded. The gate slowly swings open on its own, even though it was securely latched. Then, a swing nearby starts moving with no one around. A couple of years prior, the same uploader had posted another clip from this very property. That time, the brother-in-law's trailer was sitting outside the home, and while the person filming was pointing the camera at their dog, something unexpected showed up in the background.
Peter. Peter. What you doing, huh? More Dumbo, huh? What you looking at there, bud? What you looking at there, buddy, huh? Peter. Hey, look at Daddy. What are you doing? Hey, cheese. Hey, cheese. Hey, cheese, buddy. Cheese, 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 cheese. Hey, cheeseburger. What the fuck?
Multiple orbs drift through the frame. What makes it even more unsettling is that the dog clearly seems to sense something is there. Then, toward the very end of the clip, the curtains positioned behind the dog shift slightly, almost as though something is peering out from behind them. The uploader has noted that odd occurrences like these have been a regular thing on this property for years now. So, what's your take? Is there something paranormal lurking around this place? Or does this all have a more rational explanation? Drop your thoughts below. Number 3. A pregnant woman named Okira posted 2 deeply unsettling clips after her sister went through something she still has no explanation for. Her sister had been staying home to keep their grandmother company when she started picking up on what sounded like someone walking around on the floor above her. The issue was that nobody else should have been in that house. Spooked by what she was hearing, she pulled up the Ring camera footage which had recorded the whole thing. She jolts upright the moment those strange sounds reach her from upstairs. The more she tuned in, the clearer it became whatever she was hearing sounded exactly like footsteps. Summoning her nerve, she went up and combed through every room on the upper floor, but found absolutely nobody. Then, just a month after that, the very same camera caught another disturbing moment while she was there by herself. She was standing in the kitchen when a loud thud erupted from directly overhead, stopping her cold. She barely moved a muscle, straining to hear any clue as to what had made that sound. To this day, neither incident has ever been explained. Now, Okira has one theory she keeps coming back to. Apparently, the house once belonged to an elderly man who passed away after an accident in Russia. Now, the family can't shake the feeling that what they keep hearing might be the previous owner finding his way back to the place he once called home. A guy by the name of Grego was filming a relaxed video of himself swimming in a river when people watching the footage spotted something deeply unsettling. Early in the video, the far bank appears completely bare, but as the clip continues, a tall, thin figure becomes visible standing under a tree, silently staring in his direction. The whole time he was filming, Grego never once seemed to pick up on its presence across the water. Given how far away the figure was, no one could pin down exactly what they were looking at. Some viewers are convinced it was just another person passing through, while others feel the eerie silhouette gives the whole thing a far more unsettling edge. Every year, thousands of people voluntarily place themselves in the path of oncoming bulls, not out of obligation, but by their own free will. For most people watching from their screens, that choice is nearly impossible to wrap their heads around. Yet in the northern Spanish city of Pamplona, it has been passed down as a tradition across countless generations. The premise seems straightforward enough: cover the course and keep yourself ahead of 6 fighting bulls. What footage rarely manages to convey is just how unforgiving the environment actually is. The streets are tight, the crowd is packed in close. Once those gates swing open, there is no escape route. On the morning of July 10th, 2026, the 4th run of that year's San Ferm Festival got underway shortly after 8 o'clock. Thousands of participants, dressed in the customary white outfits and red scarves of the festival, lined the route and waited for the signal that the animals had been let loose. Then, in a single moment, everything shifted. 12 bulls, each tipping the scales at around 600 kilograms, came thundering through the ancient streets toward the city's bullring. The course runs roughly 850 meters in total, but for the runners, the real obstacle wasn't the length, it was each other. Some chose to hug the walls, banking on the herd moving through the center. Others did the complete opposite, keeping themselves just a few strides in front of the animals, chasing the kind of rush that has made this event famous across the globe. For a few seconds, it held together. Then the crowd began to fragment. One runner lost his balance and went down hard on the cobblestones. Rather than scrambling immediately to his feet, he pulled himself into a ball and shielded his head as the bulls thundered past him. It's one of the oldest pieces of guidance handed down to participants. If getting up puts you at greater risk than staying low, protect yourself and let the herd move on. Just moments later, another runner grabbed onto a companion's shoulder, desperately trying to steady himself before the animals closed in from behind. At almost the exact same instant, someone else was riding a wave of adrenaline, having managed to stay just ahead of the charging herd. That contrast is what makes every single run impossible to call. 2 people can start the morning side by side, split apart in 1 critical second, and walk away with entirely different stories. As the last of the bulls entered the bullring, medical teams moved onto the course to reach those in need of help. Footage from the scene showed one injured runner being carried off on a stretcher, while bystanders gathered nearby, still processing what they'd witnessed. Health officials later confirmed that 3 men had been taken to hospital, among them a 61-year-old visitor from the United States, alongside 2 Spanish runners aged 20 and 34. Reported injuries included damage to the head, leg, and ankle. Despite the dramatic events that unfolded, authorities confirmed that none of the injuries that morning had been caused directly by the bull's horns, a result that left many seasoned observers genuinely surprised. The San Ferm Festival draws hundreds of thousands of visitors each year, blending cultural festivities, live music, parades, and one of the most recognizable traditions anywhere on the planet. Yet the few minutes captured in footage like this so often become the image people carry with them long after. Maybe that's because they document something that simply cannot be rehearsed. Every runner steps onto that course with the same intention: stay upright, stay in front. But the moment the bulls are released, strategy surrenders to instinct, and instinct can shift in the blink of an eye. That unpredictability is exactly why no 2 runs ever feel the same, even after generations of following the identical stretch of road. Our next clip comes from a fellow by the name of Jack-O-Lantern. Based out of England, Jack has actually appeared on Haunted Frequency before, so here's a brief rundown for anyone who needs it. He's deeply embedded in the world of the supernatural, regularly venturing into some of the UK's most notoriously haunted locations. On top of that, he pursues a particularly dangerous pastime, tracking down and acquiring objects that are said to carry paranormal energy. It seems, however, that bringing those kinds of things into his own home may have been a serious error in judgment. In this footage, Jack captures some genuinely alarming poltergeist activity tearing through his living space.
We have bangings on the door. I've already been into the hallway, I'm the only one here. You alright, buddy? Can you hear something? Shit, caught it. What is doing that? Make yourself known. You scaring my cat? You alright, buddy? What is it? He knows, doesn't he? I've just dropped the cushion. Oh. What? There's just been... Hear the footsteps? Is there somebody in the room? Is there somebody in the room? I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can... Oh my shit, my candle's just gone out. Oh, the room has gone icy cold. Oh, whoa. Whoa. Oh my god. What? What is going on in here? Oh, shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Whoa. So it's kicking off again. Come on. We're getting out. You okay? You okay? Come on, we're getting out. We're getting out. We're getting out. Come on. God, this room's bloody cold as well. What is going on in this house? There's something in here you need to get out immediately. We have had enough of you. Go on. Go on, show us what you've got, eh? Yeah? You doing that? Yeah. Oh my god, my heart is nearly beating out of my chest. Cat's buggered off, don't blame him. Safest thing for him to do. This house just gets crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
There's a great deal going on throughout Jack's video. From the very first moments, the energy inside the room feels deeply unsettling. Jack picks up on heavy, mysterious footsteps moving around him, and then a sudden rush of cold air snuffs out his candle entirely. Shortly after, a magazine is violently swept clean off the table. His cat visibly reacts to the disturbance, and your first instinct might be to blame a hidden fan, but when we stripped back the audio, there was absolutely no trace of any mechanical noise. And the incidents keep coming. A half-full cup of water sitting on his coffee table gets hurled to the floor, moving sharply away from where Jack is standing. When an object travels away from the person holding the camera, it becomes extremely hard to explain away with a string or wire setup. As Jack carefully steps into his dining room, the presence makes itself known even more forcefully. A solid wooden dining chair crashes violently to the ground right in front of him. At that moment, his cat decides it's seen more than enough and bolts straight out the open window into the backyard. Whatever has taken up residence inside Jack's home is clearly making its intentions very clear. A hotel in Latin America recently sent shockwaves across the internet after its official TikTok account posted a deeply unsettling video that exploded in controversy almost immediately. According to the staff, when they went in to clean one of the rooms, they discovered it had been completely wrecked furniture overturned, everything in total disarray. What made it so disturbing was that the room had been securely locked and sitting empty. In fact, not a single guest had set foot in it for over a week. Initially, the employees assumed someone must have broken in, but that theory started to fall apart when the exact same thing kept repeating itself. Every time they checked on the room, they'd find it destroyed all over again, with no explanation and nothing ever missing. Stranger still, both the door and the windows remained locked throughout, with zero evidence of a break-in. Then, on one particular occasion, a staff member may have accidentally caught something absolutely chilling on camera. See for yourself what the footage reveals.
Veía una persona en la habitación 30 y le dije no, y me dice, ¿está ocupada? Le digo no, se desocupó en la mañana y no hay nadie. Yo misma fui a ventilar esa habitación y ahorita que voy pasando por acá me doy cuenta que sí es cierto, se ve como que si alguien se estuviera asomando en la ventana. Vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa, vamos a ver qué hay ahí, pero se supone que no hay nada y sigue ahí viéndose. Aquí más cerquita. Aquí más cerquita. Sí, miren, ahí se ve, se alcanza a ver una cara, unos ojos. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver a esa habitación. Estamos subiendo las escaleras porque desde ahí es donde estábamos viendo que se veía. Aquí ya no se ve nada, a lo mejor por el reflejo de la luz. Y vamos a ver en la habitación. Aquí está la cama, porque esta es una habitación pequeña. Aquí pues no se ve nada. Y aquí está la tele donde estábamos, donde se supone que se veía, pero no se ve nada. No entiendo por qué se ve.
Once the image is enhanced, something becomes disturbingly visible inside the room, a massive pale face with deeply unsettling features lurking in the shadows. But the instant the woman steps through the doorway, the face disappears completely, as though it was never there. Just seconds after that, a thunderous bang erupts from within the room. The woman lets out a scream and bolts out in sheer panic.
No entiendo por qué se ve.
A lot of viewers believe that the horrifying face captured in the footage may be directly tied to the ongoing destruction inside that room. Many even argued that the face appeared far too inhuman to belong to any ordinary person, with a growing number of people now convinced that something supernatural has taken hold of that room entirely. In 2024, a preschool teacher using the Reddit handle OKSpot2913 uploaded a photograph that left thousands of people deeply unsettled. She had taken the picture inside her classroom during nap time, when every single one of her students was sound asleep. She had just finished straightening up the room and snapped the photo to share with a friend, but when she actually looked at it, something stopped her cold. Judge for yourself. There, standing close to one of the tables, is the silhouette of what appears to be a small child. And the thing is, the way it looks is genuinely disturbing. The teacher is adamant that every one of her students was lying in their cots at the moment she took that shot, convinced it had to be some kind of technical glitch. She pointed her camera at the very same spot and shot again immediately. That second picture was completely clear, no figure, nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever. Once she shared it on Reddit, other users were quick to note just how distinct and well-defined the childlike shape actually is. It's far too sharp to dismiss as a lens artifact or a processing error. Ever since capturing that image, the teacher hasn't been able to shake a creeping sense that something is haunting her classroom, maybe the spirit of a child. But whatever it is, what could it possibly be after? Hospitals have long been associated with ghostly tales, given the sheer concentration of life, death, and raw emotion within their walls. But this clip, shared by Instagram user Historias de Terror 2, presents an even more unsettling glimpse into what a paranormal encounter might actually look like. The video is low quality and dimly lit, the kind of footage you get when someone grabs their phone in a panic with no time to set anything up. The woman's erratic actions had a huge portion of viewers convinced she was under the influence of some kind of demonic force. Others weren't so sure though, suggesting she may have simply been in the grip of a severe psychological episode, possibly triggered by the overwhelming anxiety of having someone close to her fighting for their life inside that hospital. A home security camera captured this next piece of footage right at the front entrance of a residential property. You can see a young boy making his way inside, and just as he reaches for the door, something absolutely terrifying unfolds. See for yourself what the camera recorded. Right before the door swings open, a dark, semi-transparent shape materializes out of nowhere and strikes the boy with tremendous force, sending him crashing to the ground. What's particularly unsettling is that this figure appears to have come from within the house, despite the door being completely shut. It moves straight through the door as though the solid wood simply doesn't exist. Many who've seen this footage believe they're looking at an actual apparition, and that this entity was responsible for violently knocking the boy off his feet. So what's your take? What do you think that thing was? This next clip was submitted to the Nuke's Top 5 subreddit, and since I genuinely love the community over there, I'm going to relay this one exactly the way a fellow member described it. A user by the name of Minato apparently caught something seriously strange on his home camera, and yes, he was on the toilet at the time. Now, Minato's real name is Dustin, and word has it the guy owns quite the impressive bong collection. But we'll set that aside for now. What we really need to focus on is what Dustin heard while he was, shall we say, handling some personal business. A faint female voice can clearly be heard saying his name Dustin. The thing is, Dustin was completely alone in the house, yet the voice came through so distinctly that he was convinced someone was standing just on the other side of the bathroom door. What makes it even more unsettling is that his two dogs are visibly uneasy, pacing and scanning the living room like they're tracking something totally invisible to the rest of us. So did Dustin actually manage to document something paranormal mid-bathroom break? And honestly, how large does one person's bong collection really need to get? Dustin, feel free to address both of those pressing questions down in the comments below. User Martina Mina shared a video claiming that whatever had haunted her family's previous house had somehow made its way into their new one. The footage initially seems completely unremarkable. A child sits in the living room, the space is calm, and everything looks normal. Yet Martina is convinced that something invisible is still passing through the home. Nothing particularly alarming occurs right away, though the on-screen text explains that the family believes the supernatural activity from their former residence has carried over. A few days after that, Martina posted a follow-up clip that made the whole situation feel significantly more eerie. This time, the camera faces the kitchen. A child is seated nearby, and nobody appears to be standing anywhere close to the cabinets. Here's what unfolded. The kitchen looks completely still at first. But then one of the upper cabinet doors begins to drift open on its own. No one is positioned in front of it, no hand reaches out to touch it, and the child remains seated well away from the cabinets, while the rest of the room sits empty. There are rational possibilities here. Maybe the cabinet wasn't latched properly, or the hinge had worn loose. But given that this family had already insisted something was trailing them from their old house, watching that door swing open by itself made everything feel considerably more troubling. Take one more look at the moment. It could have been nothing more than a faulty cabinet or a mundane household quirk, but if Martina's family genuinely believes something crossed over with them from their previous home, this quiet kitchen scene becomes a lot more difficult to brush aside. So was it just a cabinet misbehaving on its own, or was this yet another sign of something unseen drifting through the house? Speaking of something strange repeatedly visiting a home, this next recording looks like standard security footage from inside a small office. But the moment the room is vacated, something unsettling takes place. Here's what the camera picked up. The door had been left wide open, yet once the room clears out, it gradually swings shut by itself. Nobody is visible pulling it closed, and nobody steps into the room. It simply moves, as though an unseen figure had passed through the doorway and drawn it shut on the way out. A few nights after that, the uploader stayed up until around midnight and started recording again. hoping to catch the same childlike scream he claimed to have heard on a previous night. He tells his viewers to put on headphones, and as the darkened house sits in silence, something strange becomes audible somewhere just out of frame. Turn up the volume and pay close attention. He's the journalist. According to the person who posted the footage, the sounds resemble a child running through the house, yet every time he checks the rooms and hallways, not a single person is found. The space appears entirely vacant, which makes those mysterious sounds all the more unsettling. Then, not long after that, a separate camera catches something new. The garage door begins opening on its own. The motion triggers the recording, but once again, there is no one in sight. The door lifts without any visible hand near it. And without anyone walking through the entrance. It simply rises, as if nudged by a force that can't be seen. Now, doors can certainly move due to air pressure, a loose latch, or a passing draft. But after the office door had already closed on its own and those strange childlike sounds had echoed through the house, this latest incident becomes much harder to explain away. Maybe the doors were set in motion by air currents, and the sounds originated somewhere else in the building. But when a mysterious presence seems to return night after night, footsteps resembling those of a child are heard at midnight, and a garage door rises without anyone touching it, it starts to feel like something invisible is making itself at home. So is this person simply losing sleep and misreading ordinary household noises? Or is there genuine evidence of a recurring presence that refuses to leave? The official US Department of War website has just dropped yet another UAP video for public viewing, and this one is sure to turn heads among anyone who follows unexplained aerial phenomena. The footage is said to have been recorded over Greece back in January 2024. During the opening seconds, the display is divided into two simultaneous perspectives, one capturing electro-optical imagery and the other pulling from shortwave infrared. See for yourself what the camera picked up. Based on the official documentation, the clip was submitted to Arrow by United States Central Command and depicts an unidentified anomalous phenomenon recorded by a US military platform. What really sets this sighting apart is the way the object itself was characterized. A mission report apparently described the UAP as diamond-shaped, traveling at approximately 434 knots, that's close to 803 kilometers per hour. The observer further noted that the object was only visible through the shortwave infrared sensor, completely invisible to the other. For anyone who follows UAP cases closely, this is exactly the kind of footage that tends to ignite serious conversation. The combination of its speed, its geometry, and the fact that only a single sensor could detect it makes the whole thing feel genuinely out of the ordinary. Without additional information, pinning down what exactly was recorded here remains a challenge. But whether you lean toward believing or questioning, there's no denying this footage is compelling. So where do you stand on this one? Is this something that defies conventional explanation, or could there be a more straightforward answer to what was caught on film? The following clip was captured by a security camera positioned at the front entrance of a residential property. It starts with a young boy approaching the front door. As he reaches out to grab the handle and begins pulling it open, something completely unexpected unfolds that has left a lot of people stunned. Judge for yourself what you're about to see. In the moments just before the door swings open, the camera seems to capture a dark, partially transparent figure moving in the direction of the boy. He's then thrown to the ground with a force that seems well beyond what you'd expect. For some people watching, it appears as though this shape passes right through the closed door, though others are convinced there's a perfectly rational explanation behind it, whether that's a glitch in the camera or simply a trick of the lens. So, what's your take on it? The following video was recorded during the day by a woman who is already on edge before the clip even begins. According to her own description, she is not reacting to a single incident, but to something she has been seeing intermittently since she was a teenager, something she says has appeared across multiple years and never quite behaves the same way twice. The camera is pointed toward a second-floor window area, and at first glance, nothing appears unusual, until something shifts. Watch. A dark shape appears near the edge of the window area and moves in a way that immediately feels difficult to place. She explains that there is no physical space outside that section of the window where anything could reasonably walk or stand. No balcony, no ledge, no walkway that would allow a person or object to appear in that position. That detail is what has kept this footage circulating among viewers, because it removes the simplest explanation of someone physically passing by. In her own words, she first began noticing this shadow when she was around 14 years old. Over time, she says it appeared intermittently, never consistently, sometimes disappearing for years before returning again without warning. The most recent sighting she mentions was in 2019, during a period when she was living with her young dog and her grandmother. She adds something particularly unsettling about that time. According to her, her grandmother, in her final months, also saw a black shadow inside the house. In various cultural beliefs, shadow-like presences are often associated with omens, transitional states, or entities that exist on the edge of perception, appearing more frequently during emotionally charged periods in a person's life. So why is she seeing what her grandmother saw? The following video was recorded by a woman who says she ended up in what's considered the most haunted room of a building entirely by accident, alone, at night, with no one else around. She had a camera and a silver Panasonic digital voice recorder with her, and from the moment she stepped inside, something felt off.
If there's anything you'd like to say, feel free. Thought I heard something over there. Is there anyone up here with me? Am I alone in here? Am I safe in here? I'm gonna stop the recording. A weird deja vu. Oh, Jesus.
Feel free. Thought I heard something over there. Is there anyone up here with me? Am I alone in here? Am I safe in here? Can I stop the recording?
Thank you.
Say
Oh, Jesus.
Feel free. Thought I heard something over there. Is there anyone up here with me? Am I alone in here? Am I safe in here?
What the recorder picks up is described as an EVP, an electronic voice phenomenon, a faint, distorted whisper that sounds unmistakably like the words, "Go back." And almost immediately after, a satanic book on the second shelf from the top falls flat on its own, landing with a loud, clear thump. Nothing touches it. If you watch the shelf in the moments before it happens, everything is completely still. No vibration, no one nearby, no obvious cause. EVP recordings like this one have divided people for decades. Skeptics argue that audio pareidolia, the brain's tendency to find patterns in noise, can make random sounds seem like words, especially when you're already on edge in a dark room. But others point out that the voice and the physical event happen almost simultaneously, which is harder to write off as coincidence. A disembodied voice telling him to leave, followed immediately by a book launching itself off a shelf. Whether that's a warning, a response, or something else entirely, you decide. Before we head back in, one quick thing. All of our videos are now on Spotify, so if that's where you tend to be late at night, every compilation we've made is sitting there waiting for you. Watch it however you'd rather watch it. The link's in the bio. Now, back to the video. The following video was recorded by a man who works at a cemetery, and if that detail alone doesn't set the tone for everything that follows, what he found inside the storage shed on a Tuesday morning certainly will. He'd set up an experiment the night before, spreading sweeping compound across the concrete floor of the garage, a dusty mixture of pink and white powder, and left a yellow tennis ball resting inside a white plastic spool on the workbench. The idea was simple. If something was moving through that space at night, the powder would catch it. He unlocks the shed door and steps in, and almost immediately, just as he's walking through, he stops mid-step. He thinks he hears his name being whispered. He calls out, gets no answer, and keeps moving, until he looks down at the floor. Watch.
Oh, ball's out there. The ball's out there. We got prints. Holy shit, we got him. We got prints. Work bag out there. Okay. So we got prints. There's definitely prints in there. Look at that. What the hell? It's harder to see in the gray compound, but you can clearly see it in the pink. And the ball's just sitting there. The ball was up in that spool. That white spool was inside there when I left. And now the ball's here. Are you trying to tell me you want to play? What the hell was that? So I see your prints. I'm gonna have a camera shortly here. And I'm gonna guys, look at that. Kinda looks like that middle part seems to be a little extended there. It's kind of rude. And there's like nothing leading out or in. That is wild. Guys, I can't wait to get this camera installed. It should be here any day. We can actually witness the prints forming.
What he found is hard to dismiss. Deep in the pink powder are several sets of cloven, hoof-like prints, 2 long pointed ovals pressed side by side, clear and well-defined. And the yellow tennis ball that had been sitting inside the spool on the workbench is now on the floor next to the powder, with nothing in the dust to indicate how it got there. No drag marks, no trail, no prints leading in or out, just the impressions, appearing as though something dropped directly onto the powder and then vanished. Skeptics argue the prints could have been staged, pressed by hand or foot before the powder was set, but the shape doesn't match a human hand or any common animal track. Others took a different view entirely, pointing to the cloven shape and what it implies. In Christian and Abrahamic tradition, the hoofprint is one of the oldest visual associations with demonic presence, an image so deeply embedded in Western religious folklore that it's hard to look at those prints in a cemetery shed and not feel the weight of that symbolism. He comes back to the same shed not long after, this time trying to capture something he says he's already witnessed, a door inside the garage swinging open and closed on its own. He taunts whatever's in the room, tells it to go ahead and do it. Watch.
Oh, I tried catching it, guys. This door was just swinging back and forth. Open, closed, open, closed. I don't think I caught it in time. Oh. Go ahead and do it. Holy shit. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening.
The white door, which moments earlier he opened by hand, begins to swing shut on its own from a fully open position, moving at a slow and completely steady pace before latching closed with a solid click. No sudden gust, no visible string, no mechanism on the frame. He just stands there for a moment and then says quietly, "Holy shit." Then, and this is the part that stays with you, he thanks it. Whatever he's dealing with in that shed, he seems to believe it's listening. And based on everything the powder caught the night before, it's not hard to understand why. The following clips were all recorded by the same woman, and across each one, you can see a situation that's been quietly unraveling over what sounds like days. Sleep deprivation, that persistent feeling of being watched, and a growing sense that whatever is in her home isn't keeping to itself anymore. It starts with her waking up on the couch one night, convinced something had been staring at her while she slept. Unsettled, she went back through the footage on her security camera, a topo model mounted in her living room, and found something she wasn't expecting. She's visibly tearful when she pulls it up, her voice shaking as she describes the feeling she'd had. Watch.
Guys, I'm actually so freaked out right now. Last night I fell asleep early on the couch and it just felt like something was in here, like staring at me the whole time. And when I woke up, I decided to check the footage on my cameras. Let me show you this, guys. Did you see my bedroom door? I actually have no idea what to do right now.
Right there in her room, a closed door slowly swings open on its own. No one near it, no breeze, no explanation. It happens quietly, almost carefully, which is somehow worse than if it had slammed. Some viewers think it's air pressure or latch that didn't catch fully. Others point out that doors swinging open in the middle of the night while someone sleeps nearby fall into a pattern described in a lot of attachment cases. A presence testing the space, moving closer incrementally. She ends the clip asking what she's supposed to do. That question starts to feel more urgent in the next one. Days later, she's back on camera explaining her current situation. Listen closely.
Hey guys. Things are still happening. I'm still not sleeping at all at night. Try to catch up on my sleep during the day. I'm starting to hear voices, like people that I feel like I know, just in my house at random places, and I feel like I'm seeing things that aren't there, and I just, oh my god, that cup just flew right off my nightstand. What the?
Mid-sentence, a loud crash erupts from off-camera to her right, and she physically flinches, the camera lurching sideways with her, before she turns back, wide-eyed, and says a cup just flew off her nightstand. The word flew is what a lot of people latched onto in the comments. Not fell, not slid, flew. Objects moving on their own are common enough in reported cases that they get dismissed quickly, but the combination here, her deteriorating sleep, the voices, and now physical activity escalating in her immediate space, lines up with what some researchers describe as a progressive haunting, where the activity starts subtle and becomes harder to ignore as time passes. Whatever's happening, it seems to be getting bolder, and then, in the most recent clip, she's moved to a different part of the house, upstairs this time, and a new problem has started. Watch.
Guys, I am so freaking scared right now. For the last couple days, I've been hearing tapping on my window, but today it's gotten louder and more consistent. And I don't know what it is. I'm on the second floor. There should be... Nobody should be able to tap on my window. I don't have any trees. I don't have any balcony anyway for them to get... I just don't know what to do. God. See, there's no one out here. And I went outside, and I can hear the tapping from outside too. I just want to show you guys how high my window is from the ground. And I can still hear the tapping from out here.
3 sharp taps, distinct and deliberate, land on the glass while she's pointing the camera toward it. And then when she goes outside to show how high the window actually is from the ground, the tapping starts again. Audible even from the yard. You can hear it. There's nothing near that window. Skeptics will reach for birds or insects, but the consistency she's describing, days of it, louder each time, now audible from 2 locations simultaneously, makes that harder to hold on to. For people who follow cases like this, the pattern across all 3 clips tells a story of something expanding its presence. First the door, then objects in her immediate space, and now the exterior of the home, like something mapping out its territory, one boundary at a time. Now, in this next clip, 2 men are exploring what appears to be an abandoned building at night, with only flashlights and a phone camera cutting through the darkness. The space is silent in the way only empty buildings can be silent, where every small sound feels amplified and every step seems to echo longer than it should. Dust covers the floors, debris is scattered along the corridors, and the atmosphere carries that uneasy stillness that makes people instinctively speak in lower voices without realizing it. One of the men begins reciting Ayat al-Kursi, a verse from the Quran traditionally used as a form of spiritual protection and reassurance in moments of fear or uncertainty. His voice becomes the only steady sound in the building as they move forward, as though he is trying to anchor himself against whatever might be present in the dark around them. Then, something responds. Listen closely.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله سم بالله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم
محمد الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. في حد؟ لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله. له ما في السماء. بسم الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا. بسم الله. اطلع مني.
At first, it is subtle, almost easy to dismiss as part of the building settling. But as the audio continues, a low growling sound becomes noticeable, distinct enough that both the pacing and tone feel out of place with anything natural in the environment. It does not resemble wind, machinery, or structural movement, and it appears to come from somewhere within the same space they are occupying rather than from outside. In many cultural and religious interpretations, recitation in abandoned or spiritually charged locations is often described as a form of confrontation, where unseen presences are believed to either retreat, resist, or reveal themselves when exposed. So, what responded that night? You decide. The following video was recorded by a man named Isaac, who recently moved into a house that has been passed down through several generations of his family. On the surface, it seems like a typical old home. Quiet, somewhat isolated, and filled with the kind of history that comes with buildings that have stood for decades. But once you learn what happened there long before Isaac arrived, the story begins to feel far more unsettling. The original owner of the house was a war veteran. After returning from combat, he reportedly struggled heavily with PTSD, and family members say there were nights when he would suddenly leave the house and hide outside, convinced he was hearing noises coming from a small shed in the backyard. He insisted something was in there, something moving and sometimes watching. Over time, his fear of that shed grew so intense that he eventually refused to go anywhere near it. Even during the daytime, he would avoid walking past it. Years later, Isaac says that same shed is the one place on the property that never feels right. From his bedroom window, he claims he has occasionally seen figures moving inside it. Other nights, he hears loud banging coming from the shed door, like something inside is trying to force its way out. One morning, while recording a video to answer questions from viewers about the house, something strange happened. Watch this.
I've been seeing all the comments, I've been seeing all the questions, and I wanted to make a video to answer those questions for you guys now. It's about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. I can't sleep. So I figured, why not, right? So on to the first question. What happened to the video? Y'all hear that, right? Like that. Y'all see that?
If you look closely at the window behind him, a white figure briefly appears, then suddenly moves out of sight. And not long after that, something else happens. The door slowly opens on its own, even though no one else is there. Moments like that made viewers even more curious about the shed itself. So many began asking Isaac to go inside and check it out. Watch this.
Okay, so you guys have been asking me to take you in the shed and leave the phone in there. And I know it's been a little while since I put out a video regarding the shed, but a lot has been happening and I just needed, truly needed some time. So I took it, but just to show you, it is locked, okay? And I'm going to immediately, no cuts, as per usual. Okay, so we are walking into, God, these dolls are creepy. We're gonna walk in, well, not walk in, but we're in here now. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. You guys gotta Good view, right? Windows, everything. All right. I guess I'll catch y'all. I'm out.
While Isaac is filming, a noise suddenly comes from one of the plastic containers, a sound that almost resembles a doll shifting or trying to move inside the box. Isaac later confirmed that when he checked afterward, there was a doll that wasn't inside its box. And if you're wondering, where did all those dolls come from? It turns out the granddaughter who now owns the property has a deep love for collecting dolls. Over the years, she filled the shed with them, hoping to eventually pass the collection down to her children. But after Isaac posted that video, viewers wanted more proof of what might be happening inside the shed. So they asked him to record another clip, this time from a different angle. Watch this.
And just so you know, because somebody actually said in the video yesterday, of course it happens from behind the camera. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Solid wall. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Okay. I'm out. That wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe I should close the door softer next time. Let's go ahead and try that again. Okay? I'm gonna close it softly this time. Lord have mercy.
Isaac had already left the shed, yet something was moving inside. Some viewers believe the shed could be tied to the trauma of the veteran who once lived there, a place where fear and distress lingered long after he passed away. Others think the dolls themselves may be acting like vessels, objects capable of holding or attracting energy. Despite how uneasy it made him feel, Isaac kept receiving messages asking him to go back to the shed again, with many people claiming the activity probably only happened during the daytime. But that assumption turned out to be wrong. Watch this. This time, whatever might be inside becomes far more active. Objects begin shifting around the room and things scatter across the floor. Some viewers claim they can hear faint breathing sounds in the background, while others believe they hear a voice quietly saying "help" or possibly "let me out," while another sound resembles someone saying "get out." Ever since Halloween, Isaac says every single night he hears sounds coming from the shed, noises that suggest something inside is moving things around. So each morning he wakes up to see this. Watch this.
This is what I come into every single day. Y'all ask me why the shed. Look at this. Dolls knocked over, turned around. Baseboards moved. Not baseboards. Drywall moved. Bed knocked over. Powder all over the floor. This is what I come into every single day. You guys ask me why is the shed cleaned every single time I walk in here? It's because every single day I wake up, I have to come in and clean it because it's a mess. This is a regular occurrence. So you guys are gonna watch my morning routine. Somebody said lay it like this so you get a wider angle. I have a clip on the back. So there's no way. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. So let's maybe from here. Okay, it's about as open as a shot as I can get because I have to. Somebody said they don't have the energy to do this. Man, it's freezing out here. It's like 20-something degrees here in South Carolina, and I'm out here having to yet once again pick all this shit up. God, I'm freezing. Even the foam mattress is solid. Good God Almighty. Back in the days when I used to wrestle, I used to pray for.
While he's sweeping and talking about the temperature in the area, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Who's there?" Another detail also caught viewers' attention. Many people said that simply looking at that object gave them a strange, uncomfortable feeling. Several viewers even asked Isaac to investigate where it came from and why it was inside the shed in the first place. For now though, Isaac hasn't found any clear explanation, so until more details come out, that shed in the backyard remains a mystery. This next video was recorded by Nate, a man many viewers already recognize because of the strange activity that has been happening inside his home for quite some time now. Recently, people began digging deeper into his past and discovered that he used to work in a cemetery. And ever since that detail came out, some viewers have started linking the disturbances in his house to something he may have unknowingly brought back with him from that job. Whether that connection is real or not is impossible to prove, but the things happening inside his home have definitely kept people talking. One morning, Nate was simply going about his routine when he suddenly heard knocking coming from his back door. At first it sounded normal, like someone politely tapping to get his attention. Naturally, he walked over to check who might be outside, but when he got there, this happened.
So I just thought I heard somebody knocking on my back door, but I looked out there and I saw nothing, so seems like the dog heard it too. Hello? It sounds like it's coming from the back door. It's locked. There's nobody there. What the hell? I don't understand this. What the hell was that? Hello? I don't understand.
The knocking can clearly be heard, yet when Nate enters the kitchen, there's no one standing there. And if you listen carefully in the background of the clip, something else can be heard. A faint whisper that many viewers believe sounds like a woman's voice. This isn't the first time people have pointed out strange voices in Nate's recordings either. In several of his previous videos, viewers claimed to hear quiet murmurs or soft responses when Nate called out into empty rooms. Because of this, some people have started advising him to stop reacting to the activity altogether, saying that acknowledging it might only encourage whatever is causing it. But if we're being honest, that's a lot easier said than done. Imagine hearing someone knock on your door and simply ignoring it, especially when you're already dealing with things like waking up with unexplained scratches on your body, objects suddenly flying across the room, and sharp items being thrown around your home when no one else is there. At that point, curiosity and fear would probably make anyone want to check what's going on. Some viewers believe the whispers might be a form of electronic voice phenomenon, brief sounds that sometimes appear in recordings even when no one is speaking nearby. But considering everything Nate claims has been happening around him, the moment in this clip feels difficult to ignore. Whether this is connected to Nate's past work, something attached to the house itself, or something else entirely. For now, the situation remains unresolved. The following footage dates back to 2022 and was captured by a CCTV camera late at night, when the area was supposed to be completely quiet. Take a look. If you focus on the right side of the screen near the gate, you'll notice something unusual. A dark shape suddenly moves and then it disappears just as fast as it appeared. At first glance, many people suggested the most logical explanation: a camera glitch. Security cameras sometimes struggle in low light, especially when there's sudden movement, insects flying close to the lens, or changes in lighting that cause strange shadows to form. And in many cases, those explanations make perfect sense. But then, there are those who take the mystery a little further. Across many ancient cultures, there are stories suggesting that humans may not be the only beings that walk this world. Folklore from different parts of the world often speaks about shadowy figures, entities that appear briefly, moving along the edges of visibility, rarely staying long enough to be clearly seen. Some legends describe them as spirits passing between places. Others believe they could be remnants of something older, something that exists alongside us but rarely crosses fully into our world. Of course, there's no way to confirm anything like that from a single clip, but when a shape appears out of nowhere, moves like something alive, and then vanishes without a trace, it's hard not to wonder what exactly passed by. So was that a glitch, someone's shadow, or something else entirely? I'll leave that one for you to decide. Now in this next video, a man who has openly shared that he lives with severe schizophrenia decided to do something unusual. Because he often experiences things that others can't see, he started recording parts of his home at night, hoping the camera might help him figure out whether what he was seeing were hallucinations or something else entirely. One night, something strange happened and he caught it on camera. Seeing this, the man initially assumes it's just another hallucination, something his mind is creating. In the past, he developed a small trick to test whether something was real or not. Whenever he saw something unusual, he would open and close the drapes or change the lighting in the room, which usually helped make the vision disappear. So he tries the same thing again. He opens and closes the curtains, expecting the movement to stop. But this time, it doesn't. To this day, no one has been able to say with certainty what caused the movement that night. In the following video, a woman was simply recording what should have been a peaceful moment. A waterfall deep in Brazil, surrounded by nature. Nothing unusual, just a calm scene meant to capture the beauty of the place. But her camera caught something else. Watch closely.
Queda d'água, muita água, muita força. Uhul! Ih, caraca! Uma coisa ali. Caraca, apareceu um cara ali no meio da água. Mozinho! Mozinho, você viu o cara no meio da água? Caraca!
For just a brief moment, a dark, shadowy figure appears to rise from within the waterfall itself, before suddenly vanishing back into the rushing falls as if it was never there. Viewers have slowed the footage frame by frame, and the shape is hard to ignore. To this day, no clear explanation has been able to fully account for what was captured. Some believe this could be a jinn, entities said to inhabit wild, untouched places like forests, rivers, and waterfalls, especially in parts of the world where such stories have existed for centuries. Others suggest it may be a duende, a folkloric being often linked to natural environments in South America. There are also those who think it could be something even stranger, a being briefly slipping through from another dimension, visible only for seconds before disappearing. Skeptics argue shadows, water flow, or camera artifacts. But what makes this clip unsettling is how distinct the figure appears and how deliberately it seems to move. So, what do you think this really was? A ghost tied to the land? A jinn drawn to the water? A duende watching from the falls? Or something else entirely? Now, this next video was recorded by a man who's slowly running out of explanations. For weeks, his young son has been insisting that there's someone in the house with them. At first, it was easy to dismiss. A child's imagination, shadows on the wall, toys left in the wrong place. The father brushed it off, telling his son that whatever he thought he was seeing was all in his head. But the claims didn't stop. The boy started talking to empty corners of the room. He'd pause mid-play, stare, and wave as if someone had just passed by. Sometimes he'd laugh, other times he'd go completely quiet, listening to something only he could hear. One night, just as they were about to go to sleep, the boy became visibly unsettled. Have a look.
कहाँ बैठा हुआ है कौन बैठा हुआ है यही मैं बाहर चला गया कौन है कौन ये कैसा दिखता है इसको बुलाओ इधर बुलाओ इसको बुलाओ इसको कहा क्या है यहाँ पे कुछ भी तो नहीं है क्यों अर्थ कर रहा है मैंने अकेले सोना होता है मत बुलाओ इसको इससे बात करें इसको बुलाओ इसको मुझे बात करनी है तुमसे है लड़की है लड़का है ये जिससे बात कर रहे हो ये लड़की है कि लड़का है
Watching the footage back, the father still wasn't sure what to make of it. He couldn't see anything obvious, so he shared the video online, hoping that maybe someone else would notice what he couldn't. Because at this point, the situation was starting to bother him. Not just because of what his son claimed to see, but because of how consistent those claims had become. Many people say you should never tell a child they're lying when they insist they see something, especially when their fear doesn't fade and their reactions don't change. Some believe children are more sensitive to things adults no longer notice. So what do you see in the video? And more importantly, how should he handle it the next time his son says he's still here? In November 2019, a young man decided to explore an abandoned 22-story building and live stream the experience. At first, everything felt routine. Dark hallways, peeling paint, the usual eerie silence that comes with places long forgotten. But things changed when he reached the 10th floor. As he angled his camera down the stairwell for just a moment, it looked like someone dressed in black was moving up the stairs toward him. Not walking, but climbing at an unnaturally fast pace. Have a look. At first glance, you might think it's just another person, but based on the distance covered in about 7 seconds, that's an extreme speed. Even trained athletes would struggle to move that fast in a confined stairwell. And then there's the sound. As the figure approaches, a low, aggressive growling can be heard in the audio. Later, people claim that his phone was found higher up the stairwell, still recording, even though the man himself was nowhere nearby. Eventually, he was confirmed to be physically safe, but according to those who spoke with him afterward, he was too shaken to give a clear explanation of what happened inside that building. So, what do you think really happened? A terrifying misunderstanding or something far worse? Let me know your thoughts on this one. In this next video, Kyle, someone who's already dealt with one strange incident after another, is still trying to figure out what, if anything, connects all of it. Just when things seemed to calm down and the activity finally stopped, a new puzzle surfaced. Listen closely.
Listen to this and tell me if you hear a kid running around inside my attic. You hear that? Things have been quiet for like weeks now, and then all of a sudden it's just a ruckus in the attic, like constant. Listen. Isn't that wild? It sounds like a kid is running around up there. And I promise I do not have a child in my attic. It's just crazy. Yeah, things have been really quiet lately. I thought maybe it had all stopped. That's why I haven't been posting. But I guess we're back with a vengeance in 2026.
What makes this unsettling is how much it sounds like children running back and forth inside his attic. What makes it worse is the timing. Kyle says he'd finally had several quiet days. No disturbances, no strange sounds, nothing to suggest whatever had been bothering him was still around. He started to believe the activity had passed, that maybe it really was over. And then this happens. Some believe that when things go quiet, it isn't because whatever's there is gone, but because it's waiting. Others speculate that attic spaces often act as focal points, places where sounds manifest more clearly, or where something chooses to stay out of sight. Kyle is hoping this was a one-off incident, but after everything he's already experienced, it's not something he's willing to bet on. Now, in this next clip, Nate is home alone when he notices something peeking out from his basement. At first, it's subtle, easy to dismiss as shadows or his eyes playing tricks on him. But the feeling sticks with him long enough that he decides to grab his camera and record. This is what he captured.
Guys, check it out. Something was peeking. Right out. From the basement. I wanted to see if we can catch it. The end of it. But it was like right by the back. What the fuck? This has been the third morning in a row. Like clockwork. I might have to look back, but it might be around the same times as well. I don't understand. There's nothing. And then I was hearing steps coming down those stairs, but there's nothing. Guys. I don't know, guys. Maybe we can try. What was that?
Forget whatever was peeking out for a moment. What immediately unsettles viewers is the whispering. Some people claim they can make out words, while others say it's just incoherent murmuring. What makes this harder to ignore is that Nate says the peeking hadn't been a one-time thing. He claims it's been happening almost every morning for several days. always from the same spot. But one night, Nate is home watching a game when he notices the peeking again. This time, it didn't just peek. Watch closely.
Alright guys, please tell me you saw. Whatever keeps peeking out from there. Did it? I'm literally just sitting here watching the game. Wife will be home in about a half hour, so I was just waiting with the pup. And I saw. Nothing. Nothing, like always. Never anything. Nothing down there. Just bags of returnables. And hoodies. What the fuck? Okay. At least it's not a knife, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Now objects are being thrown. The energy feels different, more aggressive, more urgent. But once again, what disturbs people the most is the whispering. Viewers who compared both clips say it sounds like the same voice from the first video. There's a theory circulating online that whatever is in the house may be the spirit of a woman, something trapped, unable to move on, attempting to communicate the only way it knows how. Some believe the whispers aren't meant to frighten, but to get attention. Others strongly disagree, arguing that throwing objects and hiding in shadows isn't a cry for help, it's a warning. But until Nate provides more updates, there's no way to know which interpretation is right. So for now, this case remains unsolved. In the following video, a man believes he's dealing with a mimic, and according to him, whatever it is seems to be getting bolder every time it appears. He says the hardest part isn't just hearing the voices, it's when it chooses to act. Around 3 a.m., watch what happened. This time, the voice sounds exactly like his mother. After this clip surfaced, one question kept coming up again and again, and you may have noticed the pattern too. Why do mimics almost always ask to be let in? Folklore across multiple cultures shares the same idea. Mimics, whether they're thought to be spirits, entities, or something else entirely, aren't believed to have free access. Instead, they rely on invitation. Asking to be let in isn't about manners, it's about permission. Once acknowledged, responded to, or welcomed, they're believed to gain stronger influence, sometimes attaching themselves to a place, a person, or both. That's why the voices often sound familiar, trusted, and safe. Because the goal isn't fear, it's consent. As for how people claim to deal with mimics, opinions are split. Some believe the worst thing you can do is respond at all. No talking back, no opening doors, no acknowledging the voice. Others suggest grounding the space by keeping lights on, removing reflective surfaces near doors, or placing physical barriers like salt lines or iron objects believed in folklore to disrupt whatever is trying to cross over. But many say confrontation is the solution. So the question is, would you open the door or stay silent and hope it goes away? Either way, this is one encounter most people hope they never experience. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his solo investigation at the infamous Squirrel Cage Jail, officially known as the Pottawatomie County Jail in Iowa. This time, his final stop is one of the most unsettling locations in the entire building, Jake Bird's cell. Jake Bird was a convicted serial killer, often referred to as the Bluebeard of Tacoma, and is surrounded by one of the darkest reputations tied to this jail. What makes his story even more disturbing is the so-called Jake Bird curse, a legend claiming that several officials connected to his trial and execution later suffered sudden deaths or misfortune. When Ian steps into Jake Bird's cell, the first thing that immediately stands out is Jake's axe, displayed nearby. According to local history and long-standing accounts, an axe like this was linked to Jake Bird's crimes and is now kept as a reminder of the brutality tied to his name. To see if Jake Bird's presence still lingers, Ian decides to conduct a spirit box session inside the cell. Watch closely.
Are you here with me? Said summon. I heard summon. Who am I speaking with? Jake Bird. Jake Bird. It just said Jake Bird. That was so clear.
Not long after the session, Ian starts feeling unwell. But before he could leave, something else happened. Watch.
I'm starting to feel really lightheaded. Out of it. And I'm feeling really nauseous too.
Oh, holy f***. I swear to God, I just see the shadow. It went into the bunk bed where the axe is. Oh God, I really don't want to go back in there. I'm sorry if I offended you, Jake Bird. I didn't mean to. I'm just gonna retrieve my spirit box. Don't mind me. Oh God. I don't want to be in that cell anymore.
At that moment, Ian didn't hesitate. He ends the session and leaves the area entirely. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clips were recorded by the same woman over what appears to be a string of increasingly unsettling days at her home. A place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where something seems to have made itself comfortable. It starts simply enough. She's outside in her backyard on an overcast autumn day, walking through the dry leaves, filming a dead tree that caught her eye. Gnarled, full of dark holes, a little out of place among the others. She says she doesn't know what the metal bracket bolted to the trunk is for. She's curious, unbothered, almost cheerful. But as she crouches near the base of that tree, among the red leaves and the fallen branches, something catches her attention. Watch.
So I have a bunch of trees in my backyard, but there's this one that doesn't look like the other trees. So I'm gonna go check that one out because it has pretty red leaves or flowers next to it, and it's interesting. I'm wearing my work boots, so in case my dog runs off, I'm not chasing after her barefoot. So here's the tree. It's dead, but it's very pretty. And there's these weird things that are in it. That's for, and it has crazy holes that I like. But here's the pretty red things. Flowers. No, they're leaves. Those are leaves. Oh. I like you. What is that?
She reaches down and lifts a clean white animal skull from the leaves, Empty eye sockets, prominent canines, not decomposing, just sitting there like it had been placed. A clean skull lying at the base of a dead tree isn't automatically sinister, and she doesn't treat it that way. But for viewers who've seen what comes next in her footage, many believe it fits a pattern. Some think it's nothing more than a fox or raccoon that passed nearby. Others think the placement, at the root of a dead tree, in a yard where so much else would soon go wrong, is too deliberate to dismiss entirely. That changed everything. Back inside the house, around the same period, she captures something harder to rationalize. The dog, Luna, is already alert, running down the hallway toward a set of closed double doors. Watch.
Luna, come on.
The sleigh bells hanging from the doorknobs are shaking violently and ringing loud and fast, with nothing visible touching them. No draft, no person, nothing in contact with the doors. Luna runs straight toward them, which is the detail that gets me. Dogs typically flee from things that startle them, not charge toward them, which some viewers interpret as Luna trying to confront whatever's on the other side. The bells stop almost the instant the front door opens. That abrupt silence is almost more unsettling than the ringing itself. A few days later, with a friend or family member visiting, things escalate inside the kitchen. The two women are talking casually, one of them chatting to a cat sitting on the counter, when something interrupts the whole room. Listen closely.
What you doing on the counter? Chilling here, being a kitty cat.
Did you do that?
A loud bang with no visible source, and then a bundle of what looks like dry spaghetti launches upward from behind a dining chair and arcs across the room, sending the woman in purple scrambling backward and nearly out of frame. The cat flinches. The camera operator asks, "Did you do that?" And the woman says simply, "No." Short answer, no explanation. Skeptics argue a person hidden behind the chair could have thrown it, but the trajectory, up and outward from floor level, is difficult to account for without being caught on camera. Poltergeist activity, according to those who study it, often follows this pattern: small, disruptive, physical. Objects moved or thrown, not by a ghost in the traditional sense, but by a kind of displaced energy sometimes associated with periods of high stress or emotional tension in a household. Whatever the cause, the activity isn't slowing down. Caught on her Nest security camera at 11:23 a.m., the footage shows her lying on the couch in pink pajamas when the entire room is rattled. Watch. A sharp, loud bang from somewhere off camera, silent, percussive, echoing, jolts her straight up, and she runs out of the room within seconds, disappearing through a background doorway. The camera shakes with the impact. There's no visible source, no falling object in frame, nothing displaced in the room itself. She doesn't come back on screen. What's compelling about this one is that it's a security camera. She didn't choose to film this moment. It was recorded automatically, which makes staging it considerably harder to argue. The same day or around it, Luna is standing on her hind legs at the window, visibly agitated, when the woman notices the bathroom faucet is running at full blast. She turns it off and walks back to the living room. Then, it happens again. Watch.
And water's on. She's flipping out.
Holy crap, Mom! What are you doing? Mom, really feel the purpose. I'll probably feel better.
Literally just turned back on as soon as I sat down.
I don't see the force.
Oh my god.
She's barely sat down when the water turns back on by itself, audible from a different room, and she has to go shut it off a second time. Then the doorbell rings clearly, and when she checks the window and the porch, there's nobody there. Not across the street, not on the path, not near the mailbox. Luna is already at the door before she gets there. Some viewers think this cluster of events, the faucet, the bell, the dog's fixation on unseen things, points to an intelligent presence, one that's interacting with the house rather than just haunting a specific room. Others suggest a plumbing fault for the faucet and a technical glitch for the doorbell, but the timing, back to back in the same clip, makes the mundane explanations feel strained. The last clip shifts the setting outdoors at dusk to a dirt path bordered by dark trees. Luna has already appeared in several of these clips, reacting before her owner does, and in this one that pattern reaches its most extreme point. The woman is walking Luna on the leash through what looks like an open field at the edge of the tree line when Luna stops cold, locks her gaze on something ahead in the darkness, and refuses to move. Watch.
Luna. 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 What? Go home. Luna, go home. Come on. No, 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 no. Luna, come on. Stop.
After a long, still moment of staring into the dark, Luna bolts forward with enough force to pull the leash completely out of the woman's hand and runs into the field. The woman calls her back urgently. Luna, go home. No, no. But Luna stays out in the dark, circling at a distance, occasionally stopping to look back toward the tree line as though tracking something. What dogs detect that cameras can't is the part of this footage that sits with you. Whether it's a scent, a sound outside human range, or something else entirely, Luna's behavior across all of these clips, the bells, the window, the porch, the field, follows the same shape. She knows something is there before her owner does, and whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere.